Hi there guys, how you doing? So in this video we're going to be talking about my opinions on Titanfall 2. So just a little bit about the game before we get into it. It came out on October 28th, 2016 for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So you might be wondering, like, come on now, it's already 2020. Why are you playing this game from way back in 2016? Well, it came out for free 1 month on PS Plus. So it was just sitting in my library for forever and I wasn't really thinking about it. And then lately, when I didn't have something to play and my friend recommended Titanfall 2, he was like, yo, check it out, the multiplayer is really fun and we can play it together. So I was like, okay, sounds cool. I remember seeing trailers and reviews of it back in the day, so I kind of knew what to expect. So I was like, yeah, it seems like a cool game. I don't mind checking it out. And then we could play together. Yeah, and the version I played was on PlayStation 4, like I said earlier. So let's jump into it. First, I'm going to be talking about the story. So, the story. You play as Rifleman Jack Cooper in the Frontier Militia. And what the Frontier Militia is it's this group, it's a militia of colonists, space colonists, that are fighting back against this huge conglomerate organization known as the IMC. And what the IMC does is it raids these outpost planets that have been colonized and just like destroys villages and basically massacres everybody there and just like takes over the planet and steals all the resources to fund basically their weapon manufacturing. So these colonist planets formed together and made a militia. So you play as Rifleman Jack Cooper in this militia, and what Rifleman means is basically you're just a grunt on the ground. And why that's significant is because the main gimmick, I guess you could say, of this game is a pilot and a Titan. So what a pilot and a Titan are is a pilot is basically a guy that's in like an enhanced suit, I guess you could say, and has like a helmet with a bunch of specs and like gear and shit, and abilities. And then a Titan is basically a mech, basically a sentient mech. And a pilot and a Titan work together. They have this kind of mental link between each other. So they're just like this ultimate team. And they're basically unstoppable on the battlefield. They can only be taken down by like super strong firepower or another Titan. So at the beginning of the game, you're still just a rifleman, and you're in this like VR simulation, which kind of got me all excited because I'm a Sword Art Online fanboy, so VR always gets me, gets me going. And you're under the supervision of Pilot Lastimosa, and you're basically just running drills like, here's how you wall jump, here's double jump, here's a bunch of different weapons. But before you can get to like the Titan portion of the simulation, you actually arrive to the planet of Typhon, which is where the entirety of the game will take place. And the reason you're in like the militia is attacking Typhon is because there's this IMC base that the militia HQ gave orders to like go destroy that thing or whatever they're working on. Check it out. So you land and you get into like a couple firefights. A couple minutes in, Pilot Lastimosa will land with his Titan, and the ground troops, all the riflemen, were just getting like demolished. So Lastimosa shows up and he starts giving like support and wrecking up.
IMC Titan acquired. Cooper, you're in bad shape. Hold on.
But then a bunch of mercenaries show up that were hired by the IMC and then gang up on Lastimosa, and they ultimately destroy, take him down. They take him down. And the only reason you survive is because Lastimosa had given you kind of like a drug because you were injured, so it like knocked you out to heal you. And then you wake up and like they thought you were dead, so they didn't touch you. And then you walk over to the Titan and Lastimosa. The Titan's damaged and Lastimosa is like dying, and since you're the only survivor, he transfers control of the Titan. BT-7274, he transfers control of his Titan to you.
BT, transfer authorization to new pilot. Link, Bravo Tango 7274. Cooper, take my Titan. Use my helmet and my jump kit. This is the real thing. Take care of him.
So just like that, you become a pilot all by yourself. You're alone. Your whole battalion got slaughtered, and you're a pilot. You don't have any pilot training. You were just starting before you landed, so you don't know what to do. So you check out your Titan, BT 7274, otherwise known as just BT, and he needs 2 more battery packs. So with your special helmet, you just scan the surroundings and your crashed militia ship, and luckily there's a battery on the ship that you can go get. So yeah, you go do that, and you gradually unlock more pilot skills, and eventually you regroup with BT, and you're able to refuel him and get him back up and running.
Please embark when ready.
But then the IMC realized there's a survivor, so they send in a bunch of ground troops as well as another mercenary to try and take you down. And then that's like your first fight, your first Titan fight. So you take that Titan.
Bloody Vanguard class Titans.
Enemy Titan down. Well done, pilot.
And then basically your goal from there is to regroup with the rest of the militia and see what's up with that. So throughout the story, you're just going through a bunch of different spaces, trying to regroup with the militia. There's actually this one really cool area you go to that's like this underground IMC bunker where they basically manufacture battle zones and like test their weapon robots on like live militia men that they capture. So you're like making your way through this gigantic underground facility where they're just manufacturing test fields. And then towards the end of it, you actually end up in one of those test fields. It's like a giant underground dome that looks like it's outside. And they release like a couple of militiamen. They bring out their giant killer robots. Oh my god, that was a tough fight because you didn't have BT with you at that point, so you were just pure pilot on giant robot basically. Not as big, not as imposing as a Titan, but like almost. So that was a really cool area. But then once you pass through there and like a couple different other areas, you meet up with another pilot that you were supposed to meet up with, except he's dead. He died investigating what the militia wanted him to. It was like the whole reason you came, like this huge facility, like find out what they're doing and what's going down there. So you find him, and then that's where the game introduced my favorite mechanic in the entire game. Yeah. I actually don't want to talk about that yet. I'll talk about that in the gameplay portion, but I guess I can, but not from the gameplay perspective. So basically what it is like time jumping. So you go back in time, back and forward in time to try and like figure out what happened and like see everything. And ultimately what you discover is that the IMC found this like alien weapon thing that like messes with time and space or something. And I guess it like distorts reality so much. It has the power to destroy entire planets because it'll just like make a mini black hole and just like fracture and collapse everything and suck everything in. So and then the IMC is actually planning to use that alien weapon and target it at the militia homeworld of Harmony. So you're like, oh shit, this is like Star Wars planet destroying shit, like Death Star shit. You got to get on this and warn the rest of the militia. So from there, you take this information and you luckily manage to send it to the commander of the militia. I believe her name is Briggs.
listen up. The IMC have developed a fold weapon. It has the power to destroy entire worlds, but without its power source, the Ark, it is inoperable. Your mission is to capture the Ark before it can leave the airbase. Marauder Corps, weapons hot! Stand by for Titanfall.
And this starts like this huge all-out battle between the militia and the IMC forces on Typhon to destroy the weapon. And so it's like a huge IMC battle.
This is Commander Briggs. Go weapons free. Fire!
There's also a ton of mercenaries in there, and it's really cool, except BT is actually destroyed, and then you have to make your way through the level just as the pilot, while you get this like inside of a Titan is like this special gear that a pilot uses for their survival in case the Titan is ever destroyed or unusable. So yeah, BT's destroyed, but you manage to recover his data core, so just not really, it's just his body. And then you make your way out as a pilot. The IMC had taken the weapon because of the mercenaries. The mercenaries had defeated you and taken the weapon after you had found it. You get a new BT.
Hello, Jack.
Glad to have you back in one piece, BT.
Over 25,000, actually. BT-7274 online and ready for combat.
And you just start going ham, and you catch up with the mercenaries, and there's like this one last mercenary battle that you fight them for control of the weapon.
You have your money, Blisk. Now go. My forces will take over from here.
About time they do something.
I think our militia pilot's trying to be a hero. He's all yours. Keep the salvage.
Who said anything about salvage? I'll do this one for free.
And you do manage to do it, but then once again BT's heavily damaged, so it's just like you, a damaged BT, and the massive weapon. And BT's like, no, I got this, I ran the calculations, we can get out of here, bring the weapon to the militia, and we can destroy it. So you're like, alright BT, let's do this. So we grab the weapon with BT, and in the end, what happens is so sad. BT actually was lying to you, because he has a protocol to protect the pilot. So he was lying to you to make you feel like, oh yeah, we got this, nothing wrong is gonna happen. But then at the end, BT actually like throws you to safety, and then the weapon just like blows up and destroys BT.
Protocol 3. Protect the pilot.
BT, what are you doing?
Trust me.
And you manage to make it to a militia ship and jump, like hyper jump off the planet as you see it blowing up and getting destroyed. But unfortunately BT dies. But I mean, you know, you manage to save the day, the weapon's destroyed, the Typhon's destroyed, which I mean is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. It took out the IMC facilities and all the troops there with it.
Pilot Cooper. A lot of people owe their lives to you. And to BT.
That was basically a quick overview of the story. Now into gameplay and presentation. So there's basically two main modes of gameplay: Titan gameplay and the pilot gameplay. So when you're playing as a Titan, you're just in this like giant mech that's like pretty much unstoppable except by another Titan. So it's just like you're shooting giant bullets or cannons or using a giant sword to slice shit up. You also have like rocket launchers or lasers. So that's something I really liked about the Titans, is that they were very customizable. They had a lot of different loadouts, and depending on the loadouts, you would get different weapons and different sub-weapons, and different ultimate abilities. Which was really cool. I like those a lot. They were really cool. There was something you could also do is when you got enemy Titan, they're really low health. If you meleeed them, you would have like a finisher, like a Mortal Kombat finisher, except with two Titans, which was crazy cool. I like that. The Titans were a lot of fun, but you couldn't always use them because they were so big. So that brings me to the second huge half of the gameplay, which is pilot gameplay. So you would have to hop out of your Titan a lot, and you would just be on the ground. So this is when it turns into like a more normal first-person shooter, except you're playing as a pilot, so you have like enhanced abilities. And you can turn invisible, you have a grappling hook, your melee is super strong, you can wall climb and wall run, you have a double jump. Your mobility is insane. Your mobility is so crazy, and you're just so powerful. Like, grunts just don't stand a chance when you're as a pilot. You're not unstoppable, unlike how you feel when you're a Titan, but you're definitely very, very powerful. And it's cool because there's a lot of weapon variety as well. And the mobility feels so good. Just wall climbing and wall jumping and double jumping. It's so good. What I talked about in the story section, where you find that like time device, that's like my favorite point in the game, story-wise and gameplay-wise, because gameplay-wise, you get this like wrist device that replaces your invisibility cloak. So instead of being able to turn invisible, you have the ability to jump back and forth in time. So you go back to the past and back to the present, and back to the past, back to the present. And it's just so cool because not only is it interesting and unique when you're fighting enemies, but also terrain-wise, because maybe in the present, like something is damaged or unpassable, but if you go back to the past, it's brand new and it's as it should be, so you can progress. Or maybe when you're in the past, their building's defense systems start up, so there's like laser walls that are impassable or a ton of enemies. Well, you can jump back to the present where none of that is there, and you can keep going. So it's super cool from like platforming perspective and just like progressing the level wise, but also just like fighting enemies. It's super cool and super funny because to the enemies it kind of looks like you're teleporting or jumping around, because you go back in time, you see them and they see you and you start shooting each other, and then you jump back to the present and you're gone. To them, you disappeared. So maybe you move around, like you reposition yourself behind them or like to be flanking them or something, and you jump back to the past and you're like, yo, what just happened? Where'd he go? How'd he do that? He's moving so strangely, and you just mess him up. But it's not a cakewalk because the defense systems had activated in the past while you were there. So what you're doing, you're actually affecting the past. So when you jump back to the present, a lot of the defense robots that are barely still active, they'll be hostile towards you. Or like, since it was a testing facility, they also had a lot of wildlife. So in the present, the wildlife had escaped its cages, so they're roaming around, so they'd attack you in the present. So it was kind of like this tough dynamic where in the past you'd have a bunch of like soldiers shooting at you, and then you jump to the present to escape those soldiers, only to find you're being attacked by like these giant monsters. So it was kind of a balancing act, like jumping back and forth. You had to be very careful. But I mean, it was by far my favorite section of the game, and just to see how things had changed over time, it was really, really cool. And there were honestly some breathtaking moments with how things looked in the past. It was very cool, and it was my favorite part was probably when you get back to BT and you're still jumping back and forth. You get in like this Titan battle and you're just still jumping back and forth, but then like towards the end of it, I guess like the device maybe like malfunctions, or maybe it was a feature all along, but like time completely stops. So you were in the past like in this huge gunfight with multiple Titans, and all of a sudden time just freezes, and it was just really cool. It was, and it just looked very pretty too. The presentation, the art, and animation, and just everything. The game looked so crisp and so good. It was beautiful. That's like that's as much as I can say. It was beautiful. For enemy variety, it was okay. It wasn't anything special. For the wildlife that I mentioned, it's basically just like one thing. These like giant, I wouldn't really know what to call them. They're kind of like lizard dinosaur dogs. I don't really know. But that was like the only wildlife. IMC wise, I mean, there were a couple drones, but they didn't really do anything. It was either basically like Terminator machine grunts or like real life man grunts. It didn't really matter which though. It was basically just for how they looked differential wise. And then in terms of Titans, it was still really cool because there were different loadouts, so it wasn't like you were fighting the exact same Titan over and over again. But you don't really feel the variety as much as you do when you're actually playing the Titan. So it does feel a little bit samey in terms of enemy variety. So I that's something I do wish was a bit better. I wish there were a few more enemies and had a bit more varied, and they actually felt varied. So another part of the campaign that I really liked is there was this really cool section where you were engaged in an air chase with an IMC ship that had actually stolen the huge weapon, or they hadn't stolen it, but we were trying to retrieve it from them. So it was like this huge air chase on like these giant, they weren't spaceships, they were like just like giant airplanes, and like jets and stuff like that. And you were just like hopping in between them and like commandeering IMC ships. And what was really cool about it, like in addition to that, was you actually got to partner up with other pilots, which was super cool because it was so much fun, just because you were a rifleman and you're being given the title of pilot due to Captain Lastimos's death, Pilot Lastimos's death, and to be accepted and respected by these other pilots, being like, hey, come and tag along with us, like you're a valuable asset to us. Like it felt very good.
There are still anti-air cannons active on the deck of the Volta. They must be disabled from the bridge before we can approach.
We're on it. Nice work, Coop.
Good covering fire.
We got your back.
And then just from a gameplay perspective, it was just so much fun with like the wind resistance and like how it wasn't like perfectly flat, and there was like angles from the ship flying around. And then once you actually did commandeer the ship, you actually had to get out on top of it, outside.
Ready to transfer control to pilot.
Cooper will cover you from the rear. Take the deck and get to the Draconis.
Of like the inner parts of the ship, and you had to fight a huge Titan battle against this flying Titan and a couple of other mercenaries, which was so crazy.
Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
But it was a lot of fun. So that was another part of the campaign and just gameplay part that I really liked. That was a lot of fun. So that was the single player. It was very good. The multiplayer wise was a lot of fun. There are a couple different modes, whether it's capture the flag, just straight up like kill each other, whether you have pilots or like just pilots, or you have pilots and Titans, or if it's like a money thing where you're trying to like have the most money and you get money by killing each other and storing it in banks. It was a lot of fun. The queue The queue wasn't long at all. Like for 2020, that's something that surprised me. For 2020, like 3-4-year-old game, the community is still very much active, which was very nice to see. The queues did not take long at all. It was just a lot of fun, and the leveling system and progression, customization, and multiplayer is off the charts. Like skins, tags, loadouts, guns, titans. It's like anything you can imagine, it's there. Like it's crazy how much diversity is in that game, and I'm all for it. I love that multiplayer, and I look forward to keep on playing it for like a while. I don't plan to stop that at all anytime soon. So yes, that's the gameplay and presentation.
The destruction of Typhon saved the planet Harmony. The militia calls this planet their headquarters. The millions of others call it home. Commander Briggs says I'll be inducted into the Marauder Corps and assigned a new Titan, after the techs wipe what's left of my neural link with BT. I don't know what that'll feel like, to get assigned a new Titan. I kinda like the old one.
Great job on Titanfall, to all of you.
This is Pilot Jack Cooper, signing off.
So, overview. So my friend recommended me to play this game, and like I said, I kind of knew what to expect, so I knew it would be a good game, but I didn't think it would be as good as it was. It is the second game, but I mean, story-wise, I didn't feel like I really missed anything by not playing the first game. It's pretty self-explanatory. And your main character, Jack Cooper, I mean, he was pretty cool. I mostly liked when you would get like dialogue options with BT. BT definitely stole the cake from me. He was really great. And the jokes and banter between him and Jack was a lot of fun. The gameplay was really good. The story I really liked. It was a bit short. I wish it was longer, but I mean, it was really good for what was there. And I was really sad when BT died. That was for BT, but I mean, he was the hero. We did it. I really love all the loadouts, the Titan loadouts. The mobility as pilots feel amazing. The customization is crazy. I'm having a lot of fun playing the multiplayer with my friend. Overall, the game was really solid. I really liked it. I wish I had played it sooner. And I mean, I honestly also kind of wish that instead of getting it for free off of PS Plus, that I had actually paid for the game and supported the developers, because it was just a very solid game. It was so good. And I mean, I think it didn't really get that much love when it came out. I think it's kind of a small community. But I mean, if you've heard of this game, you've been on the fence, or you're not, like, I just recommend this game. It was very good. Like, out of 10, I'm not too sure. Maybe like an 8 or a 7. I really liked it. It was very good. It took me 8 hours. Like I said, the campaign was great. The multiplayer is great. It was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. So yeah, I think that about does it. I don't really know what else I can talk about right now. So yeah, I think that's the end of this video. If you liked it, give me a like. As always, tell me in the comments what you thought I could have done better, what you liked. And if you want, I would appreciate the sub, so you can see my content in the future when it comes out. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.